Welcome back to the Dota Radio Morning Show, presented by Dota Radio, the internet radio dedicated to Dota 2. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dota Radio Morning Show, episode 19. It is December 9th, 2013. We're getting close to that 2014 mark. We've got another good one coming up for you guys. We got E.G. Fog going to be joining us for the second portion of the show today to talk about all sorts of stuff. The big topic of discussion today is, of course, going to be the raid called EMS1, the big tournament this weekend that pretty much conquered the world of news in terms of Dota 2. Remember, guys, right into the show, morning show at dotaradio.com for comments, suggestions, concerns, and, of course, visit us on the web, dotaradio.com/morning show. We're back with pretty close to the usual suspects here. I'm Zyora, your show host. Hippie, missing in action today, so maybe he'll be joining us a little bit late. Perhaps he's just, well, running late. It is snowing like crazy here on the East Coast. Well, it was snowing like crazy at least, so hopefully all is well in the world of Hippie. But at last, we do have Charlie with us. Mr. Monolith, how are you today, good sir?
Good. It's a fun weekend.
A fun weekend. I hope not too much fun.
No, not too much. I mean, I pretty much got snowed in. Just fucking sitting here at home, trapped like a prisoner. But other than that...
You got snow all the way out there in Oklahoma?
Yeah, man. And since, like, no one really expected it out here, like, no one's come to clear the roads or whatever, so I'm just, like, the roads are still icy. I tried to go out of my little coop and just got stuck in the ice. I'm like, well, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. I had the same thing last night where basically yesterday I had all these plans to go out at, like, 10, 11 in the morning, and then right around 12:30 I just looked up and looked out the window and went, holy biscuits, it's really snowing outside. I didn't see that coming, so I guess I should have turned on the TV or checked the weather, but snow is what it's all about, I guess, from the middle of the country over here all the way to the East Coast. So, like I said, we're going to be talking EMS today, guys. The show today, as usual, going to be on kind of a timer. Today marks the beginning of the intense Star Ladder grind. We're going to have Star Ladder casting every single day without a break, basically up until Christmas. Today, the 9th, all the way through December 23rd. So I am going to be a busy beaver, and hopefully the quality of the morning shows don't suffer, but my time will definitely be a bit more limited over the next few weeks. And as always, we'll have to get out of here by 10:45, 10:50 or so, something like that. So, Charlie, my friend, let's get right into it and cover some of this EMS stuff. Now, of course, Vici Gaming going to come out victorious. It was, I guess, a pretty solid event overall, less some of the DDoS issues that we were talking about, which did soil some of its good name, unfortunately. And here we have our brackets. We've got Na'Vi and Fnatic in the upper semifinals, Vici and Alliance in the lower semis. Then, of course, it was Fnatic versus Vici in the finals, Vici taking it 3-1 over poor Fnatic. But again, very interesting to see Na'Vi and Alliance, the El Clasico, neither of them making it to the finals. So I guess you could say a nice change of pace here. Again, not that I'm rooting against either of those teams, but still sort of a nice change of pace. Nice to see Fnatic, again, now more consistently sort of beating Na'Vi. And like I was saying in the preamble, the only match that I really watched intently all the way through was the Vici versus Alliance Game 3. And I have to say, that was a pretty intense match. It was pretty back and forth, and Vici just able to do it. It was pretty solid. Charlie, what was your take on the event as a whole, my friend?
I mean, it was I tried to watch as much of it as I could, but I guess day 2 and day 1 was plagued by DDoS issues. So, I mean, for me, the stream was literally unwatchable. Mm-hmm. Everything started really lagging, and they eventually switched to local, so you couldn't watch it on Dota TV. Mm. So that was really unfortunate. I don't know. I mean, like, shit happens. Like, DDoSers a bunch of assholes. I'm not gonna... it's hard to blame... I don't know. I don't know if EMS took all the precautions they did. I mean, things like that are, I guess, maybe hard to take precautions for. Mm-hmm. But other than that, man, I gave Fnatic a bit of flack last weekend in the power rankings discussion, but man, they impressed me a lot. Like, I watched them play this week. They really impressed me. Chad is saying that my audio wasn't coming in.
Oh, you're on the stream, but you're not on the radio. Yeah, let me fix that. All right, give me a check 1 2.
Check 1 2.
There we go. Now you're coming on the audio only. Sorry about that, guys. I'm messing up already. All right, now the audio only stream is worth watching. There we go. All right, we're golden. Onward.
Okay, so I guess like I was saying, Fnatic really impressed me with their play. Even though they got second, they played so much better than I've seen them play before. Like the movement on the supports, their team fighting, just everything seemed so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so good to see, and it's, I guess, so vindicating to watch as a Dota fan, because these guys have been together forever. Sometimes they got shit for not being the most mechanically skilled or the most individually skilled. People would give their individual play a bunch of flack. But, I mean, if you look at them now, they're putting up such consistent results.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't changed players. They've had their ups and their downs, and they've just pushed through it all. And that's incredibly, inspiring to watch. It's like the teammates have continued to believe in each other, and no matter what's happened, they haven't reached out to go look for other players, and they probably could have.
Yeah.
But they stuck with their five, and like in this landscape where we see, like, or at least I probably see it a little more than others, but like players flaming their teammates behind their backs and stuff like that, like that's something really, really good to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I saw a lot of stuff of people talking about Vici Gaming, where they were sort of this weird roster that hasn't come out of nowhere, but Super and ROTK used to be on DK, and they were kicked after TI3, I guess. I don't know if that term is totally appropriate, but parted ways with DK. Sylar, sort of the same thing with LGD, and then FY and Fenrir were, quote, sort of unknown players, not totally unknown, but had yet to really, break through, I guess you could say. And these 5 guys kind of came together, and they're showing everybody that they've got the skills to pay the bills. Sort of a similar flavor to what you're just talking about with Fnatic, which is kind of nice to see as well. I love these tournaments that mix together the different scenes and bring them together on LAN. As I saw some people, as I was tweeting for that match, I saw force staffs are always sort of the saving grace on LAN, because the ping issues are really not an issue, and it sets up for even more clutch force staff plays. I know in that Game 3 of the semifinals, I saw there was some really clutch force staffing outside and inside the Roche pit. That was pretty clutch. That's always exciting to watch. One of the other big dramas about this event, though, was in that semifinals that I watched against Alliance, Vici versus Alliance. Vici not wearing headphones. This was sort of an interesting little piece of drama, because the rules for ESL are that the players have to wear, the noise-canceling headphones, because this is an event that doesn't have soundproof booths, so they can hear the casters. And VG don't use any kind of voice over internet protocol. They don't use Skype. I guess they're used to playing in LAN centers, and they just yell at each other. They don't really use headphones. So that was sort of a weird thing where Alliance actually agreed to let them play without any sort of noise-canceling headwear on, despite the rules sort of saying that that's not allowed, but Alliance agreed to it. So Vici could hear the casters in Game 1 of that, or Game 1, maybe Game 2, and I think by Game 3 they finally put headphones on. But it was kind of a weird thing, and to be honest, I didn't really quite understand, A, why Alliance would agree to Vici not having to wear noise-canceling headphones, and B, why the tournament admins didn't step in and say, yeah, that's really nice, Alliance, that you're going to agree to this, but rules are rules, we have standards, you got to wear noise-canceling headphones. I saw some people saying that they don't speak English. I'm pretty sure they understand enough English to hear things like Roshan pit, like gank incoming. I mean, it was sort of a weird thing. Any thoughts on that whole thing, Charlie?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can understand why Alliance agreed to it. I mean, they're really chill guys. They don't like a lot of drama. They don't want to, cause a lot of tension between teams. So it's probably like, yeah, we don't care. It's just like you do what's most comfortable for you. Do what makes you happy. I mean, a lot of times, like hearing a lot of players in that moment think that, like, if you hear a caster say whatever, it's, I mean, most of the time they're gonna know anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like at TI, they could hear. Like the crowd was chanting Rosh when IG was in the Roche pit, but even when they were in there, the players knew that they were doing Rosh anyways.
Right.
So it's kind of you know that thought where it's like it's probably not going to help them, and it's not worth us causing a fuss over it.
Hmm.
That being said, I think the tournament admins should have enforced it anyways. Um,
Yeah.
I think if I were in that position, I would have, as a team manager, I would have asked VG to put on the headphones because even though it probably might not, it might not, help. There's that chance that it will. There's
Right.
that chance where you're sneaking a Rosh, or things like smoke, Rosh, gank, or those. I mean, Vichi's Gaming's English is good enough to know those words.
Right.
So, or even not those words, but if you can hear the in-game sounds as well, you can hear
Yeah.
Roshan beating on somebody. You can hear maybe you hear the smoke popping off.
Hmm.
Like lots of those things can give away information that you shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of firsthand experience with this kind of thing because when I casted DreamHack for Heroes of Newerth summer 2012, there's no soundproof booths on the main stage of DreamHack. So same thing, the players are on the main stage and they can hear everything that you're saying. So we had that same issue where we didn't like mouse over the Roche pit because you could hear the noises, and we only said items once they've already been like clearly spotted by the other team and stuff. And it really sucks. It's painful to cast that way because not only like are you kind of double taking every time you want to say something and sort of stumbling extra because you want to be extra cautious not to reveal stuff. But, it's like game 2 of the finals. You're one game away from somebody winning $50,000. I really don't want to be responsible for revealing some secret Roche strat that could have, won the game or one way or another. That's really a lot of pressure that I don't want to have to deal with. And I remember people saying to me during the drafting phase, like, dude, you shouldn't tell them what to do. Like, you're saying all this stuff and they can hear you. What if they get drafting tips from you? And I was just like, dude, if these players are listening to my advice for drafting, there's a problem. They probably shouldn't be in the finals. Believe me, it doesn't really matter if they can hear me talking during the draft. And I think a lot of that really carries through to this same thing where even though they can, it's just surprise stuff that gets revealed. That's really the only big issue. In terms of the play-by-play and all that, I mean, it's pretty hard to process two people casting and focus on playing at the same time. When you're playing at that upper echelon, you're giving literally like 100% focus into the game. You kind of tune out everything else with the audience and all the pressure of a live event. So all in all, I don't think it was that big of a deal, and I think Trixie tweeting about it probably made it blow up as a little bit more of a drama than it needed to be. But it was interesting. I was still surprised to see them not wearing headphones when the casters were right there. But yeah, it was definitely kind of an interesting thing. Same thing, again, to reference Han, back in the day, everyone was so serious about the 6-minute delay because, oh god, if it's not exactly 6 minutes, people could get a little bit of glimpse of wards, and it's really hard to do that. Like, it's hard to look at a stream that's 2 minutes delayed and try and pull valuable information and apply it to your gameplay while you're focusing on your in-game objectives. But such is life, I suppose. It's also just interesting that Vici Gaming don't use VoIP. That's like the part of their style is they don't use Skype or anything. They just yell at each other. I thought that was kind of just a neat. I guess it's a cultural thing. I don't know. I guess they probably play in LAN centers primarily. Is that probably where that comes from?
Probably, and for the most part, they have a gaming house, so they're all next to each other anyways. I mean, for a LAN setting, I would still use VoIP mostly just because LANs are loud.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
you need those quality mics to pick up just you rather than everybody else.
Mm. Yeah, that's definitely true. And it was also interesting because DK was supposed to be at this tournament. It was in Poland, and they had visa issues. So Vici actually came in, kind of like Sigma at MLG. They weren't really supposed to be there, and were able to sort of snake their way in as a last-minute replacement, semi-last minute at least. So that was sort of interesting to see them ending up taking the event. And the two other things that I pulled away from the little bit I saw is one, and this isn't just isolated to this event, but just a revelation I had is Lincoln's Sphere is becoming a pretty crucial item. It's really becoming that key late game, mid to late game item that supports and like position 3s are picking up. And it's interesting that now that 6.79 has come out and everyone's getting more comfortable with the meta and the heroes and that stuff, we now see this Lincoln's progression where at the beginning really no one was using it, and now more often than not, when there's that key hero, you see that Lincoln's buff on him. And it's just cool to see how teams are continuing to adapt to the patch and I don't know. I like the idea of the Lincoln's buff. I think it adds kind of a cool dynamic and gives supports and the sort of semi-supports in the late game a little bit more utility. Just a takeaway I had. And also Bristleback, man. We're going to ask Fogged about Bristleback. I'm curious to get his take, but Bristleback had quite the showing in this tournament in the final series as well. So a lot of Bristleback action. Still, what is your take on Bristleback, Charlie? Are you a Bristle God guy, or are you a whatever the inverse of Bristle God is, Bristle Trash?
No, I'm a fan of that hero, man.
You like him?
I mean, I love the dynamic of the hero. I love the difference that it adds to, I guess, the current pool of heroes. I mean, it's very mind gaming.
Yeah.
In a way, because you think you can kill him, sometimes he turns his back on you, and then he's not taking as much damage, and then all of a sudden, you've taken like 5 stacks of kill sprays, and he turns around on you, and you're like, oh shit, I'm actually dead. So I mean, I like that he's not a traditional right clicker. I like that, he's this is, I think, this is the first patch in competitive Dota 2 that he's been picked up so consistently. Not in Dota 1, but first patch in competitive Dota 2 that he's been picked up so recently. And there's no other hero like him.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it a lot. It's always good to see something new and something refreshing.
Yeah, I do agree. I like the dynamic of sort of there is no hero like him. I think you're definitely spot on with that. And I think he works well in some rosters. I don't think he's the end-all be-all. I would not label him Bristle God, but I think he definitely works in certain situations and certain play styles. It's pretty ambiguous, but I'll leave it at that. 2 quick points I just wanted to make. The fucking Matt... I would say a friend of ours. I guess he did stop by the show. A great guy who's really starting to grow in popularity. Of course, he has that blog that most people, I think, know about by now. It's pretty popular, pretty well done. Gives a lot of good competitive insight. He breaking into casting a little bit. After his team was eliminated from the tournament, he ended up casting with Toby for at least a couple of games. I'm not sure how long he stuck around. Did he cast the finals as well? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it was pretty solid. I know I saw a shout-out thread on Reddit, and he was a little, I don't think self-conscious is the right word, but just hesitant, worrisome perhaps that his accent would be too thick or people would be turned off by his French accent. But I thought it was actually really solid. I mean, obviously he has the knowledge. He's a pro player. He's really a great writer, so I'm not surprised to see that he was a good caster, but just happy to see a good guy from the community breaking into some casting and being received well. People seem to like it. You always see those threads pop up. Wow, Toby plus a competitive insight caster is actually pretty good. It's like, it actually is. Wow, who'd have thunk it? And on the same note of competitive casting, Winter and 1437, an interesting combo, now casting G League on Beyond the Summit. And I checked out some of the bonds this morning, and that's an interesting style as well. I like that we're seeing some fluctuation in casters and styles. We've talked about Dream League, and we had Bruno on and talked about their sort of niche casting style. And this is a different take on sort of a different casting style where we have really 2 analytical
Those are 2 analysis guys, man. There's nobody out there that can do play-by-play. Those are not play-by-play guys.
Exactly. There's no play-by-play, and you're watching it, and at first glance, the first maybe 30 seconds, you're kind of just like, Jesus, who are these guys? Like, they're not really hyped. They're not really talking. They sort of have accents. Like, there's not a lot of synergy. And then you listen to it for a few minutes, and they make up for it with just like the constant knowledge they just keep throwing at you. Like, everything they say is just like boom, 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 and you're like, wow, I haven't really thought about Dota this way. It's kind of interesting to hear a cast truly from the eyes of just 2 competitive guys having a very casual, someone other thing, they wanted to make it like a casual radio discussion. I don't know that I would label their casting style a radio discussion, but it was interesting. I like the idea of mixing 2 competitive casters, but it might be worth checking out. I know everybody has their own flavor of what they like with casting. Some people like the more analytical. They watch streams to learn. Some people just want to laugh. Some people just want to hear, the beautiful voice of AC and all of his what are those phrases called?
Catchphrases.
Catchphrases. I guess that's what it. Yeah. So it's interesting though. It's an interesting dynamic. I just wanted to make mention of it. If you're out there, if you're watching this, you probably don't mind having a play-by-play caster. But if you're looking for something different, could be worth checking out. And it's on Beyond the Summit, so I'll go ahead and give the Beyond the Summit guys a little bit of a plug. So we're getting close to the end of our first part today. We may have a slightly quicker episode because of the lack of Hippie, and his segment won't be covered because he's not here to do it. But the last big point here, and is Fogged online yet? He still hasn't accepted my friend request.
Oh, he told me to give him a text before.
Yeah, you may want to poke him because I think we'll be ready for him in probably 5 or 10 minutes or so. But the big point today, this is very exciting here, Charlie. Ranked matchmaking has been announced. It is coming out in the next big Dota patch, and there are Dota fans aplenty that have been waiting for this. It's been the big thing that a lot of folks have been griping about that Dota is missing. Even the League of Legends has a competitive mode where people can just hop on and have a public matchmaking rating and compare yourself on the ladder, all that kind of stuff. And Valve is going to do it. They've given in to popular request, and they're going to make it happen. There is a blog up about it on the Dota 2 website, dota2.com, and it's surprisingly detailed. They kind of give you the slow and skinny to start it off, and then it's basically everything you would ever need to know about the matchmaking system, how MMR works, how it figures out where to rank you, breakdowns of the numbers, like what percentile you should be based on your rating, adjustments for Radiant and Dire. I mean, this blog is way more detailed than I thought that they would ever release. So it's I got to tip my hat to Valve a little bit at least for just the absolute level of transparency with how the matchmaking system is going to work. And I did read most of it. I kind of skimmed it, and it seems to be pretty straightforward. The changes and really not that dissimilar from the other matchmaking systems we have in other similar competitive games. The mode gets unlocked after you've played roughly 150 matches, so that is one of the issues with matchmaking. Especially, I remember in Heroes of Newerth, people would come in fresh off a new account, hit matchmaking, and just not be ready for it. So here, you're going to have to at least play 150 games. Ranked and normal are two totally separate game modes, so you don't always have to be competitive. You can choose to just do the normal unranked one with the hidden MMR, or you can play ranked with the semi-visible MMR. It's only visible to yourself and your friends. It's not publicly available, but people that you're friends with on Steam can see it. And like most MMR things, you have a 10-game calibration phase where you play your 10 games and it tries to rank you appropriately. Pretty interesting. Charlie, what are your thoughts about the competitive Dota mode? Were you one that was on the bandwagon in terms of this is a necessary next step for Dota to continue picking up steam, or are you one of the naysayers?
No, this is absolutely something that we needed, a ranked matchmaking system. Not everybody plays in-house leagues. Not everybody signs up for IXDL or likes the culture there. So, having some sort of progression, some sort of way to track how well you're doing is absolutely necessary. I know a lot of people are getting bored of just grinding out pubs,
yeah,
and not seeing where they're going with it. So yeah, absolutely necessary. And I'm like not a math nerd. I suck at math, but I perused the matchmaking system, and it looks very similar to a TSR system that was used. If you guys are familiar, used in Dota Cash pubs back in more Dota 1. So this looks really similar to that. It worked pretty well, and this should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. This should be exciting.
I'm looking forward to looking up your looking up your rank matchmaking stats and talking shit to you.
I know, that's what I'm really worried about. I mean, my own selfish need is just like, oh god, now there's just going to be another reason for people to flame me for being stupid. Already people are just like, dude, how do you cast Dota? You only have like 250 wins. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't play Dota that much. I mean, I have that same issue that you were sort of just talking about where just grinding out pubs is pretty boring. I mean, I play, sometimes I'm just in the mood to queue up, I queue with my friends, but I don't have much motivation just to like really grind out Dota and like really try hard in pubs. I queue up just to kind of have fun and play Dazzle and, kill people. You know, I don't really queue up and do super try hard. So I'm looking forward to having some mechanism that motivates me, you know, to queue up with a couple buddies and really go hard and actually buy wards and, you know, buy a courier when I play Dazzle and all that kind of stuff. So it should be pretty fun, but I worry a little bit about the level of toxicity this could bring along, because as we've seen, competition tends to bring out the dark side in people a little bit. And I also worry about the issue that we already have now, where people queue cross-language servers, you know, the folks that say they speak English and then just talk Portuguese the entire time, or Russian, or what have you. That's irritating now when there's nothing on the line. You know, your hidden MMR, who really cares if you lose other than the frustration of in the moment. I can admit I'll probably get a little bit mad if I queue up and I'm trying really hard and I really want to win to impress everybody with my awesome MMR, and then I just get 4 people on my team that don't speak English and make fun of me for not speaking their language. I didn't really see anything in here that addresses that particular issue, which...
Well, the blog says that that the language preferences are going to be strongly adhered to.
Okay.
So...
I don't know how, but okay.
Oh, I mean, they said that they're going to try and match up your language preferences as much as possible. And the thing is, I think most people that don't speak a language that queue on your server or select your language option, I think they can understand English. Or they can understand basic things, they just choose not to. And I think when you get to a public matchmaking, you know, when you start getting to ranked matchmaking, I think what people really need to realize is that communicating, not being an asshole, trying to work with your team, is wins you more games than being a flaming douchebag does.
Yeah.
So
I hope so. I mean, I hope it's not a big issue, but I just worry what prevents people from just selecting another language. You know, if you're in Russia and you're like, all right, I want to queue on the English server, what prevents those individuals from just checking, yeah, I speak English?
I mean, most likely nothing, but I mean, maybe, I mean, if they don't actually speak English and they want to queue on English servers and they want to lose games, then well, shit.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you're right. It sort of de-incentivizes people. It's one of the nice things about this, at least. One of the problems with Heroes of Newerth is that you can just keep making accounts, right? So, you know, you play 5 games, you go 2 and 3, and you're like, oh, I already screwed up my MMR. You just make a new one. So you can just keep pub stomping, and you can keep throwing games, and there's really no incentives. You can just keep making throwaway accounts. With this, you can't do that. I mean, you can make a new Steam account, but it's not nearly as viable because there's so much more attached to Steam accounts. So I guess that it does kind of de-incentivize a lot of the stuff we're talking about here. You know, because people just can't make new accounts. So there will inevitably be some people that literally don't care and all they want to do is, you know, pull a Joker and go chaos mode and just watch the world burn. But hopefully, fingers crossed, those folks will be few and far between. But I think it's pretty exciting. Bring some life into Dota here for the non-competitive players. Maybe this will help with that mobility a little bit in terms of people sliding up the ladder. But I'm a little bit nervous, man. I got to make friends with some good players. I got to get carried. I need to find a good carry that I can support with my Dazzle so we can win games hard. Trying to get that MMR up there, Charlie, so people take me seriously.
You're just going to get flamed even more if you play with good players.
God, I know.
They're just going to flame you.
I mean, that's okay. If they flame me and we win, it's worth it. You know what I mean? I can accept some abuse for in exchange for getting carried. I'm okay with that. So is Fogged awake?
He's online.
Oh, he is. He hasn't accepted my my request here. So, I think that about wraps up our first segment, though. Unless there's anything else you want to add about the ranked matchmaking here, Charlie.
Nope, all good.
All right, so that does wrap up part 1 of today's Dota Radio Morning Show. We got part 2 coming up here in just a moment. E.G. Fogged going to be joining us, guys. If you've got questions, you can throw them in the Reddit thread. You can tweet them. You can post them in chat. And we'll do our best to ask him here. So don't go anywhere, guys. We do have plenty more Dota Radio Morning Show action coming your way.